Oh, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy ChasmRift here, and today we got ourselves a follow-up to a previous video I made back in 2019 involving Pokemon World Championships and just the way they can improve the competitive scene. First and foremost, Happy New Year and all that crap. Personally, I think it's all overrated, but hopefully everything is going well. Without further ado, let's get into this video. I like to start off with a few, I want to break down, I want to get a disclaimer in, and then I want to debunk some things that's been said. Obviously I don't work for Game Freak, the Pokemon company. I don't work for anybody who's affiliated with anything involving Pokemon. I am just a hopeful VGC player, and everything I say, I'm not making law. I'm not going to make bold claims as if I actually work for the company. I haven't interviewed anybody. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, this is what they want to do, and I know this for a fact because of my feelings. I'm not going to do any of that. These are just my opinions. These are my thoughts. And I just want that to be very clear, because people don't understand the difference between their opinions and views of things versus what's actually happening. So without further ado, let's get into this with some of the debunks. So some of the debunks I've heard is, well, Pokemon is a children's game. There's no way they will ever take their competitive scene seriously. Well, for those who are out there who believe this, I would like to say I have a counter argument. With Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee dropping, I believe that's actually their way of having games meant for the kid-based audience, while the main series games, Pokemon Sword and Shield being the latest title, are meant for the people who have been following Pokemon for a long time, or people who are more of a family-friendly audience. I'll say that. I can't say adult. I can't say, matured audience. I'm just gonna say family-friendly, just to keep it safe. The reason I'm bringing this up is because they said they want to continue to do the Let's Go series, as Junichi Masuda in her interview said that Let's Go is catered towards young people who are just being entered into the Pokemon fan base. So if that's the case, then it seems like they got their own little subsection gaming for the little kids. Of course, that's just me speculating based on the data we have in right now. For those who do believe this way, how come this game dropped in 2017? Actually, no, I'm sorry, I apologize. This game dropped in 2018. We're still in Gen 7, and we're still going through the Pokemon World cycle. How come we still played with the Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon copies of the game when Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are out there? You can argue like, oh, they don't have all the Pokemon in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. That's why they couldn't, have a tournament. Sword and Shield doesn't have all the Pokemon in, yet we're just starting off the Sword and Shield cycle. Oh, there's no doubles format when it comes to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I'm on the Nintendo website, and it says you can choose double battle. So yeah, you could do double battle. Oh, it was just the start of the Switch. There's no way they can have games like this. Pokken Tournament is played on the Switch, and people are competing at Worlds on Pokken Tournament DX. So where are your arguments for this stuff, people? Like, come on. That's one of the debunks I just want to get out there. Is that like, oh, Pokemon can't, take that next giant leap forward. Another one I've seen people argue that actually popped up in the last video is, oh, maybe there's not enough people who play Pokemon. And for that, I call BS. Let's see, which one? So, I did some research, and these were the stats for the Pokemon World Championships. It said that the peak viewers at 23,543, 14,000 was the average for an 11-hour long tournament that was going on, and that was 29 hours of airtime altogether. So, yeah, these are some of the numbers we got just off of Twitch alone. Come over here. Like, the reason I'm showing this evidence is because we don't have exact data on how many people are competing and whatnot. That's not very apparent to us, the public audience. But I'm just using as many examples as I can to showcase my opinion on this. This was me when I hit Master Ball tier in Sword and Shield. It said that I'm ranked 25,644. I don't know if that... I'm pretty sure there are people who have worse records than me who also entered and are below me in the ranking. So, let's say I'm dead last for whatever reason. You're telling me there's not 20,000 of these 25,000 people not trying to compete on a higher level? Like, Even if there are people out there who are going to compete on the actual circuit, not all of them are Master Ball tier yet. Not all of them have hit this stride yet. Many don't even have a game. I have friends who don't even own a Switch yet, but they plan on competing in this upcoming VGC cycle for Pokemon. So let's keep that in mind with some of the numbers that we got pulled up right here. We come over here to the website of YouTube, and right here, Pokemon Day 1. They have 336,000 views on an 11-hour, 44-minute live stream. Obviously, people didn't watch the full live stream. I surely didn't. But 336,000 viewers. Day 2, 155,000 viewers. Come over to the International Championships. Almost 1 million viewers for Masters Finals. Probably because of Wolfview's in there, but we'll keep going. Finals, 313,000 viewers for a 7-hour stream. Like, the Master Division, 325,000 views just watching the final match. Like, you're telling me hundreds of thousands of people not watching isn't worth investing into your competitive scene? There are some games out there who will love to have this viewership. And, you know, it's crazy that people are out here saying that. You know, like, here goes Evo's numbers. Smash, 3,400 people. The most that Evo ever had was over 5,000 who competed. But many people call Evo's a legitimate tournament and one of the biggest, most exciting things to watch in the world of esports. Obviously not the biggest, but for many people they say this is the Super Bowl for fighting game tournaments. If this is acceptable and you got developers, you got Bamco, you have Capcom, you have NRS, they're supporting tournaments like Evo, and this is the numbers they're getting for competition. You can't tell me that their pockets are hurting, because, you know, in these companies who are doing this, obviously they're seeing these numbers and they're like, oh hey, let's support our community. Soul Calibur, they weren't supposed to even have a season 2, yet just from 742 people entering Evo, the developers were like, yeah, we're gonna give them a season 2 worth of DLC. There was no plans for that. Coming back over to here, we have very similar viewership. In fact, Dragon Ball had over 100,000 people watching this past Evo, and people said that, oh, that just proves the game's not dead. 100,000 people watching Dragon Ball at Evo, nearly 1 million watching the International Championship for Pokemon. You're telling me that's not indicative that Pokemon has a big following? It may not seem obvious, but it's there. We're gonna go over to Cybertron stream. Here goes some of the data from December 28th. Oh, this is just a young little tournament held by Avon Media called the Pokemon Invitational. Look at that, 90,000 views that day. He has nearly 1,300 people of average watcher viewers who watched the 6-hour live stream on just his alone. We're not talking about Wolfies. We're not talking about Pokegame's streams either. Just him alone. And then here goes Pokemon TCG. Just this past November, they had a tournament. 4.685 million people watched TCG. I don't even follow TCG, and I know they're bigger based on the viewership they get. So there's even bigger audience out there that we don't even know much about. We're not even scratching the surface yet, people. So, yeah, for those who think, oh, competitive Pokemon just isn't big, here's some data on my end. I'd love to see you guys pull out some research. I'd love to see you guys pull out a receipt. Alright, with that out the way, let's talk about some competitive Pokemon. What I mean by competitive Pokemon, I mean actual tournaments and competing at official events where there are prizes on the line. I'm not talking about online or just playing with friends or battling AI in-game. I'm talking about the real competition side. So, there's 3 things I want to cover with this. I want to cover 1, we're going to talk about how they can improve just the overall regional setting. You know, like competing for, like how to qualify for Worlds, how to fix some of the issues going on with the regional championship series, if you want my opinion. We're going to talk about like how they could potentially make this a bit more esports oriented, and my thoughts and opinions on like how to change up like location based, you know, tournaments. Not all exactly in that order, but we'll just do this. So this is the World Championships. To qualify, you need to get, as a master, you need 400 points. That's most of you watching this, odds are you're in Master Division with me. You just check online what the age range is. Senior is 250, junior is 200. I think this makes sense. I don't know why there's a giant leap between masters and juniors, but it makes sense that juniors have the lowest requirement because little kids can't travel as much as an adult would, or at least they had a capability of. Basically, once you get those points, you'll qualify for day one. As you get an invitation, they'll fly you out, and you get to compete at the World Championship level. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know right here. 400 points if you're in America competing at the master level. If you're in Europe, you lucky bastards, you only gotta get 300 points. Oceania, 300. South Africa, 250, which is really surprising. Yeah, we'll just move on. So, these are the number of points you get based on your placing at these tournaments. VGC. You get 200 points if you take first place at a regional, 160 second, 130 third, fourth, etc. You get prizes. You get $5,000 if you're competing for TCG and VGC at the regional level. I'm fine with this, and the reason I'm fine with this is because I talked to someone who is a regional competitor. This is a while ago, so I'm just gonna give a disclaimer. I don't remember everything word for word, but they told me either if you win or you place high enough, they will cover your travels to go to your next regional event. So, with that being said, it's not like someone's giving $5,000. Now they got to spend that $5,000 to continue touring to build up points to go and qualify for Worlds. Hopefully, you get to keep the $5,000 in your pocket, and they'll fly you out to the next event, which is cool. Yeah, like I said, prize pool. They said $3,000 for VGC, $5,000 for TCG. Got no problem with that. TCG, you got to spend a lot more money. You gotta do a lot more deck building. There isn't like exactly the best simulators to try out your decks to make sure that they're great. You gotta put a lot more effort into the TCG side than VGC, if you ask me. So I'm fine with that. And here goes the US regional schedule. So these are all the events that are going to be going on. Personally, I have... Actually, I don't think you can see my cursor. Yay. Let's get the cursor back in here. Alright, now you can see it. So personally, there are 3 events I will plan on trying to go to. I wish I could go to Dallas. I really wish I could go to Dallas for regional. But, nope, I can't. Too much monies. So I'm gonna be trying to go to Collinsville, Illinois. I was thinking about driving, but then I realized that would be a lot of highway miles I'll be putting in my vehicle. I would fly, which would be like just an hour and a half being in the air. But I'm just gonna decide to like go to middle ground play, and I'm gonna take a Greyhound. It's gonna be 6 agonizing hours on the Greyhound, but hey, I get to save money, and it's the middle ground play as I travel to St. Louis and then eventually go into Collinsville that way. So that's February. Try to hit this up. Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is in May. I should be done with classes before this event happens, so I plan on going to Fort Wayne, Indiana for this competition. This isn't exactly a light jog from Chicago, but if I can make the trip, I will definitely do it. So that'll be a second regional I try to go to. And then there is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This one's gonna be the easiest to get to. You go hop on a train, and basically for an hour be in the train, and boom, I'm there at the regional. So those are the 3 regionals I plan to compete at this year. My thing about the regional level is that I get why they don't have competitions in Chicago. You know, even though we're the 3rd biggest city, or probably 4th now, I get why they don't have competitions here, because the fees to rent out a venue in the city just doesn't justify, you know, having it here, if you ask me. Now, I get why they don't have it at like Peoria, Illinois, or Springfield, or someplace that's slightly closer to Chicago, because when it comes to Collinsville, Illinois, when I did the Google research, if you fly to St. Louis, you're 25 miles away from the actual venue. So if you fly, get yourself a lift to your hotel, boom, you're good. Dallas, this is actually in the airport right here. So yeah, that's the regional right there. They got their own little convention center. My thing is though, like, I don't agree with them having it in Collinsville. I guess St. Louis is right there. In the past, we had our regionals in the Midwest. I can only speak for the Midwest. I can't speak for any other region. We used to have them back in Madison, Wisconsin. I thought that was perfectly fine. It made a lot more sense because it's more accessible, if you ask me, for the people in Chicago, the people in the Indiana area, for them to travel to Madison, Wisconsin to compete. You got people in Milwaukee who live there. You got the whole state of Michigan who have the easier time getting to Madison, Wisconsin, and for everybody to travel to St. Louis, Missouri. Obviously, this is going to be doing dirty to those who live in Central Midwest, but I guess I should just pull up a map. And let me just pull up the map. Let's pull up the map of the U.S. So for people who don't understand, so this is right here. Basically, right here is where the regional is going to be at. Madison, Wisconsin is somewhere around here. So as you can see, easier for Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan to travel here. People who may be traveling from across Canada and across from like Ohio and whatnot, they'll have an easier time getting to Madison than to get to St. Louis. I think that's a little bit better if you ask me. It defeats the purpose of having the regional when the neighboring states are Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Arkansas. There's more people in Illinois than the whole state of Nebraska. Just take that into consideration. Like there's a juicier condensed number of competitive players within this general area than right here to justify regional. That's just my opinion. I can only say no more than that. So yeah, that's me with the regionals. Like, just change up some locations if possible, and we're all good. So, my issue I was going to bring up with when it came to the regional level was that, well, the more I think about it now, the less I have an issue with this. But my issue was, I was going to say, for regionals, they should give you like a day one. If you win regionals, they just give you an automatic pass into the World Championships. I was initially going to say that. For those who don't know already, if you win an international championship, you will qualify for Worlds. Basically, they just give you 400 points to your name, and bam, you qualified that way. That's for those who that's basically like a last chance qualifier for people. So basically, if you never competed at a tournament and you went to internationals and you miraculously won, you automatically get a bid into Worlds. That being said, back when I was first thinking about this video, I was gonna say, hey, they should do that for regionals. If you win a regional, you can qualify for Worlds. Make it a little bit easier and make it much more exciting for people who want to, view. There'll be way more matches going on. And I was gonna say international. If you win that, or if you have a certain amount of points, you just get a day one bye. Like day one bye, and just boom, you compete for day two only into day three. The reason I'm now against that is because the Premier Challenges. So if you win a Premier Challenge, you get 30 points, 16 if you win two. I mean, if you take second place. If you go to mid-season showdown, you get 50 points. So for us in America, that's 1/8 of the points you need to qualify for, Worlds. Online, for whatever reason, if you somehow get that, I think this is very unlikely. You get 50 points. Like, that's something you really don't want to rely on. And then, boom, internationals, you get 500 actually. My bad. Second place gets, really? 400? If you take second at internationals, you good. So that's how many points they give out there. Let's see, where did I have it? So I have no issue with that because look at all the premier events that are just happening nearby me. We have mid-season showdown. I don't know why they put Niles, Alabama. It's supposed to be Niles, Illinois. If you compete here, I don't know if this video is going to be uploaded probably to the day I'm recording this, but odds are either Saturday or Sunday I'll be competing at one of these events. So you have the mid-season showdown. They give you 50 points if you take first place. You saw the breakdown. The premier challenges, you get 30 points. Basically, if you compete, if I took first place at 10 premier challenges, and I take anywhere between second through, I believe, 8th at 10 more events during the premier challenges, I qualify for Worlds just that alone. I'll have over 400 points and I'll be set. If I did like 20, actually I don't think I need to do 20. Let's pull out the calc. So let's say we're doing this live, everybody. We're doing this live. Premier challenges. Okay, let's see. Calculator. So I said 12, right? So we'll do 400 divided by 12. 33 events if I only took third and fourth place. If I, obviously 50 events if I take 5th through 8th. Let's do 16 points. Let's just say I just can't get past one player. Let's just say I can't get past one player at all. 25 events if you just take a second place alone. That seems like a lot, but when you look closely at these maps, these events are relatively within the same time. January 4th, January 5th, 2 different events, a Premier Challenge and then a mid-season. January 20th, you have a Premier Challenge. The 25th, you have a Premier Challenge. So there are opportunities out there to get points. Because of that, I can't really say I want to change up the format, but it's whatever. Finally, talk about the esports side of things. I think I like how Worlds is right now. I don't think they need to really change like venue wise, like the setup. I think it's fine having a giant convention center to basically let it be like a giant convention for those who are spectators and not just competing. I think that's pretty cool. Give it a place for everybody to come together and watch and enjoy Pokemon for what it is. I do like that they switch locations year round. It would be cool if they had like one stationary place to compete at Worlds, but I think it's cooler for a lot of the players who are competing to just be given a free trip to London for this one. In the past, it was Hawaii, it was Washington D.C., it was Nashville, Tennessee, which is very underwhelming compared to the first 3 I said. Yeah, I do like that they let you travel out and you compete that way. I mentioned this earlier. We had a tournament that was invitational sponsored by Aver Media, and in the past we had Geico Gaming sponsor another invitational for VGC. Those tournaments, they gave a little more bread to the pockets of the people who competed. I have no issue with that at all. I don't think Pokemon is gonna want that to be the main staple. I don't think that'll be the route they will go. Like, hey, let these other companies, do all the sponsoring. If they wanted to make it more enticing for people to play. We already talked about this in the last one. Increase the prize pool and just make it more accessible for people to like make a living off of it. And the way they could do this is through a couple methods. One, I would say compendiums. For those who know what a compendium is, that's when people who donate to an event, that money be put as addition to the prize pool. They can either do it through like how Dota did it, where they give people like prizes for donating through Twitch and all that, or they let people interact with certain ways. And I say, yeah, let that happen if they want to. Like, I don't think anyone will get too mad if you got a special like badge or emote for donating through Twitch. They can even have like a donation page on the Pokemon website if they wanted to, for those who want to donate. And of course, like the argument would be like, oh well, if Wolfie's playing, he's gonna have like $500,000 donated to the prize pool for just him alone, versus if Joe Schmo, who has no fans, is in finals. I'm like, true, but at the same time, any extra money for these players is a bonus. Like, we can't control people's popularity, and I don't think anyone would be mad if they made an extra dollar for just the compendium rule. Like come on, let's be real, people. Another way I'm thinking is that they could do advertisement. Obviously, I said that I think Pokemon is more family friendly. I can't say it's adult or any other things. I say family friendly as in people of all ages could play. I get some of the subtle jokes and some subtle little tidbits of information they give you in the game, but it's relatively accessible to everybody. If that's how it's gonna be, obviously they're not gonna have Red Bull sponsor or something, because they probably don't want kids drinking Red Bull. They could probably just have sponsorships based on the convenience and timing. Worlds happen usually within the second week of August, meaning that for a lot of people who are watching, they haven't started school yet. There's a lot of companies who will just take off that idea alone to sponsor it. Walmart would love to drop some back to school ads for that. They could probably get other companies, like, hey, Nike would love to drop some sponsorships during that time of the year, get people into back to school shopping over there for them. Like, there are a couple places that will actually jump on just from the back to school shopping alone. If not, like, hey, it's summertime, it'd be nice to get some juice. It'd be nice to get XYZ thing. I can't think exactly. Like I said, I don't know anything that goes on behind the scenes. I don't work for Game Freak and all that, so I can't say like how agreements would go if they wanted to have, corporate sponsorships and have companies sponsor the world championships to increase the prize pool. But hey, these companies aren't hurting for money. Like, these companies could definitely give away $1 million to the prize pool and they'll still be good. But if they don't want to, there's still options out there. So that's why I'm providing these little tidbits of ideas. I want to thank y'all for watching this video. It's pretty longer than I thought it would be, but it got my thoughts out there. I hope a lot of you enjoyed it, and I gotta go edit it. Gates full open. I guess I'll close them and get some food in my system.